Okay, welcome to week 2 lesson of Art with Nicole. Today's lesson we are making a piece of artwork using the symbols of Anzac Day, the poppy. The poppy is recognised as a symbol of war and grew in many of the battlefields that the Anzac soldiers fought in overseas. If you think about a poppy, we've got these beautiful, delicate, bright red flowers. They open up into this lovely circular shape if you're looking at it from the top, or have these really interesting cup shapes if you're looking at it from the side. They look delicate and they sort of flutter and bend around in the wind. They are a lovely flower. So today, for the upper school students, we are making this lovely artwork. We have got the national anthem in the background to remember who was fighting in the war, the Australian and New Zealand soldiers, and these beautiful poppies on the front. Okay everyone, this is what we need to make our poppies today. We've got, from our paper pack, we have a black piece of paper, red, and this Advanced Australia Fair sheet that we're going to use for backgrounds today. We're also going to need a glue stick. We're going to need a pair of scissors. We're going to need black texture, fine liner, or something along those lines. I'm using a thick one today because it makes it easier for you guys to see it. I've got a pencil. I've also got a black pencil and an eraser. So let's start. Okay, this is a bit of fun, this first bit. We're going to take our Advanced Australia Fair, and to create these ragged edges, we're going to rip our paper. Okay, so I find it easier to start in the corner and use a guided finger and just start ripping along the edge of the writing. Now, an interesting edge, but not too crazy. Don't rip off a lot of paper, just the edges on 4 sides. So turn it around, use those guided fingers so you don't rip too much. I'll continue doing these along the 2 outer side edges. Now the base, this one's a bit easier to rip because it is the grain of the paper, but I actually find it too straight, so I'm going to try and add a tiny wobble to mine just to make it look a little bit more rustic and interesting. That's what we want our artwork to be, interesting for people to look at. So I'm giving it more interest by making a interesting line around there. Okay, now all I need to do is glue that on to my background. Making sure it's got a bit of glue on there, and sort of, let's make sure it's straight. Yep, I'm happy with that. Okay, so now we have our background done for our poppies. Okay, next we need to do is our red poppies. You have your piece of red card, and from here I'm going to fold it in half and cut. Then take that half, fold it again and cut. Then you can fold it again, and now I've folded it again, I can make 2 poppies at the same time. In my artwork I had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I think an odd number looks better, but you can decide if you would like 3 or 5 or 7 poppies. So to do them quickly, I've got here my half-bended piece of paper, and I'm just going to draw in sort of a cup shape, and then it's got a bendy top. You probably can't see that, so I'll do it again in a dark Sharpie. So cup shape, and then a wavy line across the top. Now, I actually think that might be a little bit big, so I'm going to cut on the inside of that line. So you can't see those lines, but it gave me a bit of a guide. Okay, there I've got 2 poppies. Now this time, I'm actually going to make some smaller poppies. So I've cut that bit into, I'm going to make that even smaller. And again, I'm going to do a cup shape with a bendy top. And now I've got some different sort of shaped poppies. Get the rubbish out of the way. I've got, draw it on for you. This is the shape we're after. And if even though I can see the texture on that one, I'll just turn those over. So I've got some different size shapes. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Maybe let's have a look and arrange it on the table. See what it looks like, my composition. Let's have a look. What could I do with my 6 poppies? Now, I said a odd number looks interesting, so I just need to make 1 more poppy, which I'll cut out of this paper. And I'm going to put that one a bit upside down, so we've got one of these droopy poppies happening. I like some looking that are a bit droopy, because poppies tend to look quite interesting when they are in very different, because they are in very different shapes and they flutter around. Okay, now I'm happy with that composition. I'm going to glue them on. Now I'm working fairly quickly here. My recommendation is that you watch my video once, and then on the second, you could watch it again, and that time you could pause it, watch and pause, so you can keep up with me. Okay, I've got my poppies glued on now. I now need to add my stems of my poppies. So that time I use a fine liner, but to start, to make sure I know what I'm doing with my stems and I'm happy with the shape of my stems, I'm going to use my grey lead first. They're never really straight, okay? Flowers, even though we think that they often have a straight stem, they're quite often bendy, okay? So I've got my bendy one here that I'm going to practice where that bendy one is going to go with my grey lead. Sometimes they cross over or go behind one. Okay, I'm happy with that, but if you're not, you can erase it and fix it up. Now I'm going to go over it with my black. One's going behind the other one here, so I'm going to check that. Okay, that's fine, I'm happy with that. I've got some that I didn't quite line up on exactly, so I'll erase those. Making sure you can't see my lines. Okay, now I like these little baby sort of poppies that haven't been poppies, or are they poppies that have had their petals blown off. We're going to add a few of those that sort of fills up the nice spaces that may have not got a stem. You can draw these on with grey lead first, but all it is a bendy line with a ovally shape on the end of it. Now the last thing we do is take our black grey pencil, coloured pencil, and I've just added some curved lines, some slight lines to each of my poppies to give it a bit more interest, so it's not such a flat line. You could do all sorts of interesting things here to show that they're poppies. You can get creative. But that is the end. The other thing I have done is sometimes I do a little bit of a dark line under them to give them a bit of shadow. Okay, so if you want to give them a bit of shadow under there, each of them, you can. You can also just give them a bit of shadow where the stem joins the poppy. Okay, so I'm going to continue on just fiddling with that. But I think it's a beautiful poppy artwork for Anzac Day, and I hope you enjoy making it with me. Thanks.